So since I've been gone for a little while, how are you feeling about you guys now? You got Big 12 play coming up, and obviously right into the gauntlet.
Yeah, feel great. As we return from the break, I think our leadership has taken a step forward. Our practice habits have continued to improve. We've had a highly competitive practice environment, and so I think it's been really good to see our guys respond to the task at hand. And I think not only is it attack in practice with an energy and an enthusiasm, but it's having fun being out there together. This group really enjoys being on the journey together and spending that time together. So, that's part of it too, and it's been fun to see.
In West Virginia, it seems like no matter the coach, there's always a sort of hard-nosed mentality they play with.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of physicality, defensive intent, effort on the glass. They're an extremely hard-playing team, a group that, they've got tremendous resolve, and they've, like you said, as they've changed coaches, there's always been a toughness, there's always been an edge, there's always been a grit to how they played, and that's certainly true with this group.
You guys start Big 12 play here on Friday. Why do you feel like this group is ready for it now?
I think you go through all these, through the course of the season, you have these ups and downs. You go through different experiences, different adversities, different challenges. And I think for us right now, the excitement of conference play, understanding there's going to be an added level of physicality. There's going to be teams seem to know each other better, seem to understand how to defend each other better. That's a great challenge. And then to embark on a new journey. We were able to close the last chapter and start this next chapter. And so I think there's an excitement to start that chapter. And then we always are super appreciative for the opportunity to play in front of our fans and to be at Hilton and have tremendous energy in that building. And I know how much our guys relish each one of those opportunities. So we're excited for a big crowd. We're excited for a tremendous environment, and we're ready to be at our best.
When can you tell a group of guys, a team, likes to spend time together?
It's really starts in the summer and June when we come in, and the things that our players choose to do from a team building standpoint and away from basketball, and the time they invest in one another when they do it on their own. I also think there's things that we do as a program where we try to make sure that we're really leaning into that connection. But I think so much of it is we have 5 guys that return that were very impactful and really care about this program, care about each other, and care about the work every day. And the new guys that have come in have been tremendous at taking that leadership and ownership in the group and that sense of pride. And so I think when you feel like you're part of something bigger than yourself, and when you feel like you can have like the success and the fun that you want to have while you're on this journey, I think that unites guys even more. And right now, all those things are working for us.
You talked to a couple weeks ago about recruiting international kids. Have you guys investigated the G League or these, new pools of players that seem to be available?
Yeah, it hasn't been something that we've really put much time or much stock into. Again, I'd always hesitate to say never or this is something we don't do. But at this time, it hasn't been something that we've felt like has been, a way for our program to move forward. One of the things that we take tremendous pride in is the work that we do in June and that we start doing. And so guys are earning playing time in June and all the way through. So I also feel like, specifically to some guys that are coming in at semester and things along those lines, each program has to do what is best for them and their culture and how they go about doing things. And I think for us, at this point, it's about guys that have earned an opportunity from June and keep earning them. So, it hasn't been a route that we've put much time or stock into.
How do you feel? Where do you feel your guys are at in terms of the consistency with the ball pressure, with the turnovers leading to transition, 40 minutes wise?
Yeah, look, I'm not an analytics guy. I'm more into what it looks like and the production in our program. I think The numbers probably say we're as good at that as there's anybody in the country is, but yet we have a very high standard for what we can do and how we can continue to do that. And we recruit guys that understand that, and we develop guys in that manner. And so I think there's certainly positives to where we're at, and there's certainly things we can improve. Obviously, other teams know that's something we're trying to do. So finding different ways from a spacing standpoint, from what they do offensively, they're certainly going to try to not put us in those situations where we can be successful either. So I think it comes down to just having a tremendous mental focus and an understanding that every opportunity we get to pressure the basketball through the 40 minutes is important. And the more that we do that effectively, the more it's going to benefit taking the ball out of our opponent's hands and putting it in our hands on the other side to score the ball.
You mentioned that you're not a big analytics guy. You've said that in the past too. How much do you personally look at KenPom or Synergy or any of the other resources that come available to you guys as a staff, like you individually?
Yeah, I would say it's more of a once in a while type of thing. It's not I don't have a specific, I certainly don't look at it every day. I may not look at it every week, but there's certain points of time where you have a feel of what's going on in practice, maybe what's happened in a game or two, and you want to see, do numbers coincide with your feel, with what you see? I'm always going to be more of a mentality guy and more of, if you impose your will and you're the aggressor, that all those numbers tend to go the way you want them to go. And so I would say it would be, it wouldn't be honest if I said I never look at KenPom or I don't ever look at those things. It's just not something that day to day we put a ton of stock into. We're far more about like the mentality, the mindset, the effort, the execution, and the numbers will follow.
Other than wins and losses, are there any of those numbers that you find yourself looking at or appreciating more than others?
Well, for this team, again, a couple of things, because people have talked more about offensively, because maybe that is further along than maybe what we've had on some past groups. I'd say the offensive rebounding is something that we take tremendous pride in. I think Blake Buchanan has proven to be one of the best in the country. Hasn't played as many minutes, but when he gets his opportunities, he's great on the glass. And it's something that we need to continue to lean into, because as conference play becomes more physical, defenses become better, schemes become tougher to score against, you've got to find ways to create points when things are hard. And I think the offensive rebounding is something that we really need to put focus on. And I think when you look at our better offensive games, you'll see that production on the offensive glass. So that would be one that certainly stands out to me.
Clayton got that late start. Where do you see his development at this point in the season?
Yeah, I mean, if you looked at from the start to now, and you would say, well, Blake Buchanan from a development improvement standpoint has been tremendous, and you would say the same in regards to Plata. And I think, Coach Green works with our bigs. He does a tremendous job with those guys each and every day in terms of mentoring them, watching film, development on the court, and teaching. I also think both of those guys, as they've continued to improve, it's almost like upholding a standard when you go in. When Blake's playing great, Plata wants to go in and honor that as well, and vice versa. So I think I'm really pleased with Plata's continued development. I think he's already had some really good moments. He's going to have some terrific games as we move forward, and he's going to end up being one of those guys that I think Cyclone fans really appreciate already, but he's going to have a terrific career for us. He keeps working and he keeps improving his work habits, and we continue to see, the things that he's capable of doing.
Dominic Nelson the other night, was that a coach's decision, or did he re-aggravate something that he had earlier in the season?
No, I'd say, more attributable to the depth that we have. We've had a lot of conversations about our group and the depth and the options, and I'd say what you see on the practice court every day from a guy like Cade Kelderman in terms of passion, enthusiasm, effort, energy, those things really stand out. And so it was really more than anything just a decision on my part to say, hey, we're fortunate. We've got all this depth. We've got a guy like Dominic Nelson who the second half, or at the end of the first half against Mississippi State, really helped us separate in our first big win of the year, and then goes in the game at Purdue on the road and has some big and impactful baskets. And I'd say at the same time, those minutes the other night went to Cade, and Cade gave us tremendous energy. I think his plus minus was off the charts from the minute he went in. He made plays for his teammates, got a steal right away, hit a big three. So I would say when it comes down to evaluating who's playing and why, there's going to be times this year, due to the fact that we're fortunate with the depth and the options that we have, that it might be a different guy or guys for certain games. It might be more guys, it might be less, but it's really going to be just what gives us the best chance to win the game that night. And my feeling the other night was, going in Cade's direction, and Cade stepped up and he did a terrific job. And so we'll just continue to evaluate one day at a time.
How do you keep those guys as sharp like that to where they can go long stretches, maybe like Kelderman? He didn't play big minutes for a while, makes a big impact. DeMarion in past seasons was able to do that. How do you kind of keep that instilled in those guys?
Well, I think more than anything, it's them making the choice to stay with the work and to stay with the habits and stay with it. I think a lot of times it can be hard for young people because they're conditioned to believe that you should work to the level of what you're being given, or the minutes you get should reflect the work. And I think what we try to really cultivate mentally in our program is that the one thing you have control over is your attitude, and two things: your attitude and effort. So you can continue to do the hard work every single day, and that will put you in position to be ready when your number's called, right? They don't have the choice of when they go in the game. That's a decision that we make as coaches. But they do have that choice of every day I'm going to develop, every day I'm going to demand my best. And by doing so, you're teaching yourself such a valuable life lesson, but you're also making sure that you're ready when your number's called. And I'd say, over the 3 years, certainly Cade Kelderman has proven that he's going to be a guy that's going to invest. He's going to be a guy that's going to practice hard every day. He's going to be a guy that's ready. And time again, when we call his number, he's prepared, and he takes our team to another level. So I think for all those guys, it's a lesson to be learned in terms of, continuing to work, even if you're not getting the instant gratification of playing time or as many minutes as you might like. And I think it's a credit to our assistant coaches for continuing to work with them. We don't push guys to the side or move them out of the way. We continue to invest in all the guys in our program.
What's that do for the long run of the program when it's not just words, there's actual action behind Kelderman getting minutes when he does the work?
Well, I think, it's important to me that the lessons that we stand for, and the things that are important in our program, that our guys can say, these are the things that the coaches say, and these are the things that happen as a result of it. I think that consistency of, if we say these things are important, then we need to honor those things. And I think one thing that really stands out with Kelderman to me is his communication, right? His energy when he's on the court, commanding the group, connecting the group. And I would say there's one thing with this team that we could use more of, and that's that. And Cade brings it. So I think as you look forward, you never want to take anything for granted in the short term. You want guys to keep focused on the task at hand today. But hopefully as guys see, okay, if I do these things and I focus on these things and I give this great effort and I practice hard day after day for hundreds of days, not just a week or a few days. It's not just about a couple good practices. It's stacking them up that, at some point my opportunity will come. And like I said, Cade proved that at the end of last year, and he's proven it to us again now.
With Blake, there's been a few instances where he plays with 4 fouls. What do you have to say about his savviness in order to kind of maintain that edge and aggression while, staying on the court and not fouling out?
Yeah, Blake's basketball IQ is phenomenal. He's extremely intelligent. There's just been sometimes a few games, wrong place, wrong time, or, a tough play. And so it stinks because he's so valuable to our team that I never want to take him out of rhythm because of a foul situation. Yet at the same time, he's really stepped up in some of those situations where he has had 4. Specifically the St. John's game, the way he dominated down the stretch on the glass and scoring at the rim with 4 fouls. I think he showed a mental toughness that says I can still be the aggressor, I can still be extremely physical, I can play with tremendous effort, but not put myself in a spot where I could get that 5th foul. So I think it's more credit to his personal pride, his desire to be out there, his winning habits, his character, all the things that we see from Blake every single day. But I think as much as anything, it's a knowledge of this is what the other team's going to try to do, and this is how I'm going to make sure I keep myself at strength instead of putting myself in a bad spot.
And with all the new players this year, what has been your biggest piece of advice or message to them as they prepare for the Big 12 gauntlet for the first time?
No, we just talked to them about the physicality is going to go up. The defensive, it's going to be harder to score. It's going to be greater challenges that way. The intensity of every possession. You know that right now we have focus on one thing. It's a home game on Friday, and we're fortunate to be at Hilton. But at some point, we'll also talk about the road environments. At some point, we'll talk about, the other coaches, players, programs, teams. They're really good, and there's nights in this league where you can play great and lose, and that's just part of it. And I think for us to maintain perspective and to stay in a mindset of, regardless what happens on the night of the game, if we keep getting better and we become the best version of ourselves, even in the best league in the country, all right, things are going to work out all right for us. But we can't guarantee night in and night out what that means with wins and losses, because other teams are really good.
You've talked in the past for previous teams about offense. If it doesn't go well, it affects your defense. I don't know that you've said that about this team. Have you seen that from them, or do you guys, the offense has just been so good that they haven't had a chance?
Yeah, I mean, I think in some respects, we have been fortunate, right? And most nights, even if things hadn't been perfect, we found a way to get them to go our way. And I think some of those things, like when you look at turning people over and scoring off your defense and the offensive rebounding, I think those are extremely valuable margins. And, we hadn't had as many opportunities maybe even at the foul line, because we haven't had some of those close games late where there's fouls and double bonuses back and forth. So if you're going to look at the analytics and you're going to say, well, does this team free throw? Well, if you look at the games, it's really more attributable to we hadn't had that many games that at that point in the game where you get those extra 6 or 8 free throws at the end, like some other times maybe we've had. So I think we've been mostly fortunate. Offensively, things have gone well for us. We also need to recognize that there's going to be times where it doesn't. And there's going to be games that we're going to need to hang our hat on a scrappy 60-55, win and be great with that game too. So we're trying to build the mindset and the mentality for them to be prepared for that when that opportunity or when that challenge comes forth, that we are like, yep, we talked about this. We knew this could happen, and now we're going to continue to just get stops and hang our hat on the defense and make that the way that we win this game tonight. That's what we got to keep working for.